Hi everyone, I had a sound problem. I've just changed over to my phone, so if you could let me know whether you can hear me now, that would be great. So this is Dagmar from Animal Communication. So yes, really sorry that we had a bit of an issue there, not quite sure why that wasn't working, but hopefully this is working now using my phone. Can you tell me, Joe, if this is working, please, if we do have sound? Hi, Brooke, how are you? Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, not sure what happened, but we've sorted it all out, so that is good. Yeah, so I'll start again, and something that I wanted to talk about today is something that is very important for me, that a lot of people come to me. Hello, Vicky. Great to see you here. One thing that a lot of people come up to me, they say that their animal is naughty and misbehaving and that there's things wrong. Great that you can hear now. Thank you very much. Hello, Sarah, Mary. So yes, one thing that is very important, animals are not naturally naughty. There's not things, they're not misbehaving just for the fun of it. Most of the time there's a misunderstanding. It could be a cat. Hello, Tracy. It could be a cat that is not drinking the water because the cat doesn't like the water bowl, and there's a dog that might not be playing because one of his friends has passed away and he's suffering from the trauma that he's experienced. So a behaviorist can't find out these things. There might be a horse that is not going on the float, and why is the horse not going on the float? And only if we speak with the horse and we find out that there is actually a problem, because the horse has been excuse me, to so many different homes that now he is worried to get on the float because he doesn't know where he's going to end up. So if we can understand that, we know what's going on and then we can work with it. But if we don't understand and we think the horse is naughty and is not going on the float, we might punish him for it. So what happens if a horse is already worried where he's going to end up, and then we go and punish him on top of that? So that is really quite traumatic for them and can then create more dramas and more panic attacks and more issues for the horse. So it is very important that we can actually understand what is going on and how we can help the animals. And as I said before, a behaviorist can't really give you those answers, because we need to know and we need to find out what is going on in the animals. And when we have a look at Australia, there's so many animals. I have to check the numbers. There's 24 million pets in Australia. I mean, that is just huge. So a lot of people have animals because they know how beneficial they are for them. Animals, they help people with depression. They even, they can detect cancer. You might have heard of animals that always lie on a person's belly and then they find out that there has been some cancer or some issues going on. So animals are so beneficial. They help us that we're not lonely. They keep us fit because we exercise with them. So animals are absolutely amazing. So we need to, in return, look after them as well. And we do. And we, in average, a dog owner spends nearly $2,000 a year on the dog, which can be food, but we also do spend a lot of money on buying them little presents and buying them little rugs and things like that. So that's really great that we do that. Yes, Leanne, that's quite funny. Our animals, they do think they're humans, and I actually had a cat that thought he was a dog. So there's a lot of funny stories going on with the animals, and they are our family members. They're not just something that we can put in the garage when we're finished with them. And a lot of people are starting to realize that we do need our animals and they need us. So it is quite important that we are there for them as well, and we have responsibilities as well. We need to provide food, because years ago our animals were wild and they would just go and eat what they could find, and they survived like that. Where now, if you let a dog go, the dog can't survive because there's no food source for them and they can't get all the minerals and all the things that we need. So we're responsible for looking after them and giving them the important food and all the things they need. We need to give them a safe home, and we need to be able that they can live safe with us, because they don't have a choice, that they can be with us. You know, we make that choice that we want to have that animal, and they just have to take that and take that decision. And I mean, most people are great with animals and they look after them properly, but then there's also animals that are not so fortunate, so it's great when we can actually help them as well. And especially things as well that we shop instead of breed, because there's a lot of animals, and not shop, sorry, that we adopt animals, because there's a lot of animals that need homes, and they're all absolutely fantastic. So as I said before, there's a lot of benefits for us as well, that lower our stress levels and that they help us. But then there's also a lot of things that we need to do for them. And there's a lot of issues coming up living with animals, because animals are not naturally used to living in the house. You know, we bring dogs in the house, we bring cats in the house, and they can't really do what they would do in nature. So therefore it is quite important that we try to make the environment as natural as we can, and that we find out what they need from us so they can live that life they need to live. And we do create a lot of problems these days. There's a lot of issues for the animals going on. Hello, Tracy. Yes, your dog has a pregnancy, a phantom pregnancy. Oh, have you got kittens as well? Oh, that is very cute. So you can see, Tracy's saying that her dog has got a phantom pregnancy, and it is so true. You know, animals are going through the same things that we are going through as well. And even when you look at politics, you know, in some countries they even say that animals don't have feelings, and animals don't go through those things that we do, and they don't care. But that's absolutely not true. So animals go through exactly the same things that we go through as well, and that's where we create these issues. You know, a dog wouldn't live on its own in nature, and then we take them to us and we expect them to be at home while we go to work, and they're in the house by themselves for 8 hours. And of course they get stressed because they're not used to being on their own. They shouldn't be on their own, because their natural behavior is that they need to be with another animal. And so we are creating these situations, and then we might punish these animals on top of it, because the dog is naughty and doesn't want to be at home on its own. So it is very important that we actually find out why this is a problem, and they can also tell us what we have to do to help them. Oh, that is very cute. The ragdoll kittens, they're absolutely beautiful. I bet your dog is loving that he can actually look after an animal and not being able to have the puppies. That's great, Tracy. Yes, so yes, we can't really by their body language tell what's going on, and a lot of people are trying to tell us what is going on and what we have to do different. And we often have a feeling for our own animals. So it is actually quite important that we trust that instinct and trust that feeling. It's the same with kids. You know, you take your kids to the doctor, and your doctor will tell you there's nothing wrong, and you know that there is something wrong. So it is important that you insist and that you say, no, I know there's something wrong, there's something going on, and that you trust your instinct. Because we do know best. There's always other people that want to try to tell you what you have to do and how to do it. But it's very important, if you have a feeling, that you don't ignore them, because they do certain things and we know them very well, our animals. And if they react in a certain way, then they're trying to tell us something, and their behavior doesn't sometimes tell us exactly what they're telling, but that is something that we can find out through animal communication. So I'm just quickly reading Diane's message. Yes, that is very sad. I will actually probably in my next talk, I am going to talk about animals and when they pass away, and how this can help us with animals, and also how we can still connect with them, because we can also talk with animals that have passed away. So it is a great great opportunity to find out what is going on and what happened and how they're feeling, because a lot of people are carrying a lot of guilt. You know, they don't think they did the right thing, or they think they could have done more, and they don't know whether it's the right moment when they put their dog to sleep, and that is always very sad. And if we can connect with the animals after they have passed away, we can get answers to those questions, and that is an important thing, that we can find out why this happened. And animals, they don't carry anger. As long as they know that we have done the best that we thought was right at the time, even though we might find out later that it wasn't, you know, we could have done something different. But it is very important that we know that they don't carry anger, that they don't get upset with us, that they know that we did the best what we thought was right at the time. Yes, that is so true. Yes, animals are just incredible, and they can be our friends. And you know, my cat, when he was really sick, I had a lot of people say to me, you know, why would you go and spend that money on fixing your cat? But my cat is my family, and if there's something wrong with him, I would do anything that you would do with a child as well. And some people, especially I'd say, you know, in the country, people that have grown up with animals, and that they are just there for us to take whatever we want to take from them. But animals are our companions, and if a child is sick, I would spend any money on that child to fix it and do what is possible to help that child. And it's the same with the animals. Just because they're sick and they cost money, that's our responsibility. They come to us and we want to help them, so that's very important. Yes, we can communicate with animals that have passed away. Sometimes when you want to connect with your own animals, if you're emotionally very attached to them, then it can be a little bit hard sometimes to get a good connection with them, just because we emotionally, you know, we can be emotionally quite upset. So sometimes it is easier if you get someone else to communicate with your animals, and that is something that I do as well with my animals. So if my animals are sick, then I might get someone else to talk to them, just to make sure that I get the right message, because I'm emotionally very attached to them, and then we fear the worst and we worry a lot, and that can sometimes blur the vision a little bit. Yes, that is definitely something that we can ask Harriet if your dog is at peace. So I will also, further down, I will also be doing some readings, so that people can send me a photo and we can do some readings while we're live and answer some questions. And Stephanie, yes, your dog is always around. Even though we can't see them anymore and we can't feel them anymore, they're still with us every step of the way. And it is amazing when we connect with them and we ask them questions, how they're still present and how they still give us answers and how they can give us advice on our everyday life. So it is absolutely amazing to connect with animals that have passed away. Sometimes it takes people a moment to get over it, and that they're ready to talk about it. So it's really up to the person when they are ready and when they want to connect with the animals. And what do you mean by that, Harriet? So yeah, so if further down the track you will do that, you can send me a photo and then I can connect with your animal through the photo. And that is definitely something that we will be doing, because it is important to answer those questions, because people, as I said, they're quite emotionally attached to their animals, and knowing what happened, that is very important. Yes, so going back to their behavior and issues we have, you know, so there's a lot of issues that can come from, you know, anxiety, stress, and you'll be surprised speaking to my clients how many animals are actually on anti-anxiety drugs and sedation and all sorts, because there's issues with the animals. And it is a bit in a modern society that if there's a problem, we just give them a pill and sort out the problem and hopefully fix the problem. But speaking to a dog that was on anti-anxiety drugs, it was quite interesting, because he was telling me, even though he can't react anymore, so he's still in his body and he can still see and hear what's going on, but his body can't react anymore. So I found that is probably even worse, because he can't now react anymore. So he's still scared and he can still hear the noise, but he doesn't react anymore because his body won't let him. So that is quite traumatic for the animals. So even with things like that, when we put them on medication, it's very important that we can get an answer how they are feeling about this medication. And let me tell you, with animals in general, they do ask for natural remedies. So they ask for herbs and things like that. And they generally don't say that they need antibiotics and things like that. Because years ago, animals would just self-medicate. So if they needed something, they would just go to nature, and they knew exactly what they can eat and what they need to eat to fix the problem. So I'm just reading your message, Amanda. Yes, that is definitely something. I'm sure that your horse has forgiven you, and I'm sure there is nothing to forgive you. I'm sure you've done the best you could to look after your horse. And yes, your boxer girl, it would be very interesting to have a chat to her and find out why she is sick and what we can do to help her. So that is also something that is very important, that they can tell us what is going on. So what things they need, what herbs they need. They might need rest, they might need more water. So we can specifically say, you know, what do you need to feel better? And I was talking to a steer recently. He was very sick, and every day he was asking for different things, but he was telling us exactly how he was feeling and what he needed to help him. So we can speak to them on a daily basis, because obviously their needs, they change from day to day. So one day they need some more water, and the next day they're in a funny position and they can't relax, and we need to help them to get in a comfortable position. But all they need to be able to do is just express what is going on for them. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear, Amanda. Yeah, that is definitely something we can do. So I will probably also, yes, I will, next week, I will probably give you the details that people can send me some photos so we can do readings. And yes, you can definitely do that with me, Amanda. I would love to help. And, you know, sometimes we think that animals are in a lot of pain, and then we might find out that they're actually not feeling too bad. Or we think that they're feeling not too bad, but there's a lot of pain. And if they can direct us where the pain is, we can then help them and fix those problems and sort those problems. And, you know, animals are amazing. I had a horse that was really sick, and the horse was telling me exactly which minerals he needed and what feed he needed. And we were doing that, and he felt so much better. I mean, I have to say, we still can't save all the animals with it. You know, they still have a life expectancy as we do, so they're still not going to live on forever. But we can obviously find out what we can do to make them better and to help them with the issues they have. So yeah, unfortunately, they don't live as long as we do, but I guess that's a good thing as well, because I wouldn't want my animals to stay on this planet when I'm not here anymore, because when I'm with them, I know that they're well looked after. So all we can do is be there for them. And I mean, that is a great thing as well, that when we do have to make that decision that we have to put them to sleep, it is really great if we can be there for them and be there with them. And animals always let us know. You know, a lot of people worry when is the right time to put them to sleep, but animals, they always tell us. They always tell us when they're ready. They might do certain things, and you can even ask them, you know, you can say, are you ready to go? And they often give you a sign to let you know that they're ready. Yes, they absolutely, they would like to stay with us. You know, it's difficult sometimes with animals, because we love them so much and we want them to stay with us. And sometimes, unfortunately, we just have to let them go. And sometimes animals hang on just for our sake, because they know that we love them so much and we would miss them so much when they're not here. So sometimes we have to let them go. Yes, that is something you can definitely do, Harriet. You can ask your animals if they can come to you in your dreams. The question is sometimes if we do remember the dreams. And you can also ask them, though, if they can visit you in your real life, not just when you're asleep. And animals often do come to us, and you might not even be aware that they come to us. You know, you might be walking around and all of a sudden you think of your dog, or you see something that reminds you of your dog. And they are all little signs from our animals that they are connecting with us. So it's not just messages you get as such, but it's only little things. Or you might be walking around and you get this little smell, you know, that reminds you of your dog, and you think, wow. And these are the little visits they do when they come and see us, that they just leave these little hints that make us remind us of them. Yes, so we'll be doing that further down the track, that we will be doing some readings. So we just have to work out how I can do that people can send me a photo first, that I can connect with them. And really, you don't need a photo to connect with them, but I like to have a photo just to identify the animals. So it's not actually to see something on the photo, but it is to identify the animal that I want to talk to. Yeah, that is very cute, Leanne. You often trip over nothing, and it's probably your girl that's lying there. That is true. I had a client of mine whose dog passed away, and she could still hear her dog walking through the hallway, tap, 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 tap on the wooden floor. So these are all little things, and you think, oh, I'm just making it up, I'm just imagining it. But it is actually our animals coming and visiting us. So that is really, really cute. Yes, we do miss them so much when they go. But we also need to know that they can come back as well. So that is something that is great too. And we obviously can't have exactly the same pet to come back to us, so they're not going to be looking the same. And people often say to me, you know, how do I know this is my animal, or how do I choose the animal so I'm choosing the right animal? But the animal, if the animal is coming back to us, it will happen. So you don't have to worry that if you should take this animal or another animal, if they're coming back, they will come back to us. And it is not that you have to do certain things or have to spend a certain amount of money. They will find us. They might not come back straight away, they might come back later. Sometimes you have an animal and they might all of a sudden take on habits from your animal that has passed away. So that's always quite interesting. Thank you very much for joining us as well. Thank you. Yes, so it's really great when we can connect with animals that have passed away. And but we also obviously want to help animals that are here with us at the moment, because they are still living in a physical body here with us, and they have no choice sometimes. You know, they're pushed into a corner, or they're pushed to do certain things, and they might not be happy about it. And if we can talk to them, we can give them a choice, and that is very important as well. And as I said, there's a lot of behavioral issues, and if we can find out why they're doing these things, we can address them. But you can't really expect the dog to be on its own for 8 hours, because it's not their natural situation they would put themselves in. And same with horses. Horses are naturally running away from fear, so otherwise they're going to get eaten in the wild. So if they get scared, they run. But us humans, we expect our horse to stay with us even if they're scared. So we expect them to not worry about the instincts they have and just listen to us. So that is a really big step, and I think it is very important that we can understand that, we can put ourselves in the position of our animals, that we actually understand why they react in a certain way, and then maybe not being too hard on them because they do that for a good reason. Yes, that's very sad. So you're putting your dog to sleep, or is that your mother's dog? Because as you made the right decision, if it's the right time and your animal might need help to pass over, then it is important that you do that. And especially, as I said before, a lot of times other people are trying to give us advice, and they're trying to push in and tell us what we have to do. Okay, so it's your and your mother's dog, yeah. Well, one thing we can connect with the dog and find out how he's feeling, and hopefully that can give your mother some feeling of, you know, not feeling so bad about it. But as you are obviously aware that your dog is not very well and that it is something that has to be done, and sometimes the kindest thing really is to help them to pass over because they're just not feeling well. Yeah, that's not good. So yeah, you know, I mean, your dog might be blocking the pain out, so it would definitely be worth having a chat with your dog and finding out how she's actually feeling. But from not having seen a photo of the dog, obviously can't. I haven't connected with her, but it is important that we do know how she's feeling about it. And if you have that feeling, you have that intuition that it is time for her to go, then it is obviously important that we can help her as well to go. And that it can be difficult sometimes to with people that are struggling with that idea, because your mother obviously loves the dog very much and she doesn't want to let the dog go. So we need to work with the dog and with your mother as well and try to explain the situation from both perspectives. And if we can find out from your dog how she's feeling and if she thinks it's time for her to go and in how much pain she is, and whether there is something you can do for her, that is quite important. And hopefully that can help your mum to understand the situation a better. Yes. Well, Anna, you know your animals best, and you have that feeling, and you can ask your dog as well. You can say, please give me a sign if you're ready to go or when you're ready to go. So it is important that you make that decision, and that you're also that you're happy with making that decision, that you don't let yourself influence by, you know, by too many other people, but that you make whatever the decision that is right. Yes, well, see, animal communication is something that I find, when I connect with animals, they give me a lot of background information, which means that people can then see that I have actually connected with their animals. So even if the animal tells me things after that we don't know the answer to, such as, you know, how much pain is she in and how is she feeling, it proves to them that I've definitely had a connection with them, because all the information and feedback I haven't given them on the animal is, they can confirm that's correct. And they tell you things that only you know, which obviously confirms that I did have a connection with them. So if they tell you things that we don't know the answer to, then that gives us confirmation that we just have to trust that this is the right answer. Yes, I think that would really be a good idea, to speak to the dog and find out what's going on, because sometimes, as I said, sometimes we need to make that decision and we need to help them to pass over, because they just, you know, these days we have so many possibilities with medication and things we can give, so we all live longer, and same with the animals. So sometimes we put a lot of energy into saving the animals when there's not much we can do. Yes, but I'm happy to connect with your dog if you want, Anna, because it is obviously quite an important situation to find out what is going on. Yes, so going back to the animals, and when we connect with them, we can get a lot of information. We can find out why they're doing certain things, what they need from us, and that is all very important to work out how we can solve the issue, because animals, as I said before, they're not naughty as such. They're just reacting in a way because they can't tell us any different. And it might be, yeah, that the water bowl is not good and you think your animal is sick because your animal is not drinking much. So if we can actually understand why they're doing that, we can change the water bowl. And I always say, animals don't ask for a $10 million swimming pool. They just ask for little things. And so it is important that we talk to them, find out what's going on, and then we have a very cheap solution that we can just give them a different water bowl. A reading is $90, Anna, and you can get all the information on my website, which is animalcommunication.com.au. But you can also give me a call maybe tomorrow morning, and then we can have a quick chat about the situation and find out what we can do to help you and your mum and your dog, of course, as well. So, yes, so The interesting part as well is with animals that they do take on illness for us as well. So you might have heard that animals do actually mirror us, and that is something that they might take on our illness and our habits as well. You know, there's a saying even that our animals, they are just like us, and they are just a mirror of us. And I mean, that is so true. They do often have same habits, and they do certain things, and it is obviously important that they don't take on our illnesses just to help us, because we want them to be healthy as well. But sometimes it also shows us that we need to heal ourselves to be able to heal our animals. So sometimes your animals have the same health issues that you have, and you're spending all the money and time trying to fix your animal, but you sometimes have to look at yourself as well and fix yourself to be able to fix your animal, because they just take things on that from you. And yeah, as I said, they do mirror us, and so if we can help ourselves, then that will help our animals as well. So animals, when they're feeling unwell, they react in a certain way. That's very cute. Anna is saying that her dog had the same hairstyle as her, and she didn't make that. Yes, that is very cute. So they do say that even that animals look like their owners. So that is quite an interesting and funny saying. So when animals are sick, what can we do to help them? So a lot of things come, as I said before, from the environment. So even with chemicals, you know, it is important that we do keep our environment healthy, and that we have good choices, you know, that we use natural remedies. And as I said before, animals, when they're sick, they normally don't ask for chemicals to fix them. You know, I've never had an animal say to me, I want antibiotics. Especially horses, there's a lot of herbs that get used with horses, and a lot of horses, they will tell me which herbs you can use to help them. And I always find it interesting, because they might even give me names that I don't even understand. And when I then go and Google, I do find this remedy, and it is really something that helps for that condition that the animal has. So it always is just mind-blowing how animals just know what they need from nature to help them. And as I said, in very rare occasions, they do ask for drugs that you can get from the vets, but in general, they know what is good for them from nature. So things like essential oils are great for your animals. And the important thing is that you're very careful with chemicals, because if you use chemicals in your house, they walk over the floor, then they lick their paws. So they get all these things internally. So this is obviously something how we can make our animals very sick. So it is very important that we do know what makes them sick, and they can tell us that information. I had a horse, for example, that was telling me that he feels like he's under current. And at the time, I didn't quite understand what he meant, but the owner was then confirming that he is in a paddock with power lines going across. And I've had that actually a couple of occasions, and animals are so sensitive to those things that when they've got power lines, that they just feel like they're being fried, you know, and we might not feel it so much, you know, but there's a lot of people that have got issues with Wi-Fi's and things like that, and animals are even more sensitive. So if the animal can tell us, hey, I'm really under current, and this is really worrying me and not feeling good, then we can obviously shift the horse, or just arrange something different that we can get them away from the power lines to have them feeling better. And then their behavior will stop as well, because they're behaving that way because they can't show us any different way. Yes, Harriet, you want to know how you can help your pet with her grief after losing a friend. So for animals, it's the same as for us. If another animal dies, or also if a human passes away, that it is extremely stressful for them and extremely sad. And I just had the other day, someone was showing me an article that there was a lady that fell asleep and she died in her sleep, and her cat died with her because the cat didn't want to be without her. So cats and animals feel exactly the same emotions as we do. So if an animal passes away, that is so traumatic, because they might have lived with that animal for a long time. So we can talk to your pet and find out how how she's feeling, what she needs from us. You know, maybe she wants a new friend, maybe she doesn't want a new friend, maybe she wants to spend more time with you. So it's really, every animal is different. Some animals just continue as nothing happened, and other animals, they're really affected by it, and we need to help them. So we can probably, you know, we can use maybe some essential oils to help them on the emotional side of it, or we can have a chat to them. I find a lot of animals, you will see a positive reaction just by talking to them. They will just feel great. It's like going to you know, a counselor or someone that just listens to you. So if we can talk to the animal and they can just tell us what's going on, how they're feeling, a lot of people see a reaction just by having a chat to them. So, and once we can find out how she's feeling about losing her friend and what she needs from us, as I said, she might want another friend because she doesn't want to be alone. I had an interesting situation where I was talking to a dog, or to a dog family. A dog had passed away, and there was another 2 dogs, and one of the dogs was really upset about it. And when we talked to the dog, we actually found out that he wasn't upset because his friend had died, but he was upset that his friend was the leader. So now that the leader had died, he felt that great responsibility on him, that he now had to step up and be the leader, which he just didn't want to do. He just wasn't the kind of dog that is a leader. He was just happy to plod along and just stay in the background. So once we knew what was going on, we had a chat to him and said, look, you don't have to be the leader. We just love you how you are, and you can just be who you are, and I'm the leader for you. And instantly there was a change in behavior, because that big burden had lifted off him, because he thought that we are expecting from him that he is the new leader, and he just couldn't cope with that. So you can see it can also be an emotional, and emotional, it can be grief. They're very upset that their friend has left. But it can be also something that is affecting them, like in this situation. And you could have said, oh, well, you know, he's just sad that the other dog passed away. But when we talked to him, we found out that this wasn't actually the case. So it is very important to connect with each animal individually. Same with people. There's not 2 people that are the same. And there's also not 2 people that are the same. So some animals react in a certain way, some animals react in a different way, and we just have to speak to each animal as an individual to find out what is going on. Thank you, Harriet. So yeah, we need to make sure that animals don't take on our illness as well. And the other thing is also that we do have to let them go, as Harriet said before, and no, that was Anna, sorry. If our animals are sick, sometimes we have to make that decision to let them go. And I was talking to a client who had a horse, and the horse was 30 years of age, and she went on a holiday, and as she was away, the horse passed away, and she was totally distressed when she came home, and she was crying, and she rang me and she said, you know, I'm never going to go for a holiday again. And I said to her, look, your horse chose the moment when you weren't there to pass away, because the horse knew that she would be totally distraught and very upset and unhappy about the horse passing. And can you imagine, she would have walked out in the paddock and she would have found her horse lying dead in the paddock. So this would be so dramatic for her. So the horse chose to go when she wasn't there. So that way the neighbor found the horse, and he could bury the horse. And when she came back, it was obviously still traumatic, but they do sometimes choose that moment when we're not there. And you do hear that a lot with old people as well. They might be in a hospital, and as long as someone is with them, they stay there as well. But if they all leave the room, then they go. So it is the same with animals. They sometimes just need that peace to be able to leave. And sometimes we just have to give them permission. As I said, sometimes they do hang on. Sometimes they want to stay around just for our sake, even though they're in a lot of pain. And sometimes it is the kindest thing from us is just to tell them that it's okay to go, that they don't need to hang on. And I know we love them so much, and all we want for them is to be with us. But dying is not, you know, there's more after dying. It's a journey. For animals, it's like taking your clothes off and continuing your journey. So they're all excited about it. I was talking to a cat that had to be put to sleep, and he was sick, and there was nothing they could do. And he showed me himself how he was standing at a train station with his luggage, with his suitcases packed, ready to go. And he was so excited because there is so much more after. It's not the end. So it's very important that we know that there is more after dying. And so he was just so excited to go on his journey. And it's always the same. With people as well, if you go on holiday or your friend goes on holiday, it's great for your friend. Everything is new and it's exciting. Where for you, you're staying behind, so you'll miss the other person. And so it's always for the one that stays behind, it's a lot harder than for the one going away. Yes, yes. Well, Anna, it is, as I said, it's not the end. So it's a journey, and when they pass away, they continue. It's a journey. So they're not dead and not here anymore, and we're just dead. You know, we have the possibility that we come back. We have the possibility to connect with them again. We can still communicate with them. So yes, that's absolutely true. And also from the information they give me where they are, I had an animal say to me, it's like water being, so like a bubble of water being in water. So I find that quite interesting, that it's just, it's just, so you're sort of in water, but you are water as well. So you're just one. And that was a really nice way of telling me how that felt. Yes, Leanne. It can be an amazing experience to connect with animals that have passed, or to also be with animals that pass. And I've had several animals come to me, especially birds, to pass while they were with me, and it was amazing how you can just see even their soul leave the body when they're passing, and all you have left is their body. And I mean, their body is just absolutely beautiful, but their soul is still around. So you must never forget that your animals are still there with you and they don't just disappear. Yes, that's correct, Leanne. They can connect with they will meet with all their other animal friends and with family members that have passed away. And when we talk to animals that have passed away, they often talk about who they're connecting with and who's waiting for them, and who is with them at the point of time when, or who was waiting for them when they have passed away. So it is actually quite a nice thing to connect with your animals when they have passed away, to get that closure, that, you know, they weren't upset, that you did the right thing, and that you can help them by making sometimes that decision that you do have to let them go. So yes, so when we have issues with our animals, what can we do? How can we help animals? You know, and that's situations for animals that are with us. You know, in general, if we actually have issues, what can we do? So, you know, why does a dog dig a hole? You know, we can think, oh, well, the dog is just naughty, but it can be things like, you know, the dog is hot and he needs to cool down, or he could be in pain and he's doing that to get distracted from his pain. So it's important that we find out what is going on, what does the animal need, and then we can make a plan, and we can then put the plan in action. And then we can, most of the time, we already see a great improvement in the animal. You know, the behavior will change, they're a lot more happier. And then we can connect with them again. You know, we might need to have another conversation with them to find out how they're feeling now, or if there's still something they need. Sometimes we don't have the 100% the result that we want. So it is important, again, to connect with them, to find out why it is not quite working. What else do we need to do, and how can we help? And then we will have great results with our animals. And it's the same about health, you know. So if there's health issues, we find out what's going on, what do they want us to do. When my cat passed away, or when he was still with me, he had cancer. And I spoke to him, and I knew that he didn't want any treatment. And I got a friend of mine to talk to him as well, because I wanted to make sure that I had that right, because I obviously didn't want to make any wrong decisions when we were talking about his life. And she said that to me as well. She said that he just wants to enjoy the time that he's got with me. And we had a wonderful time. We didn't have a lot of time left, but it was a wonderful time, and I'm so grateful for it. And my friend's dog was sick at the same time with cancer as well, and her dog was quite old as well, and she chose to go down the path of chemotherapy. And for young animals, it's probably a good thing, but when they are old, you really have to ask yourself how long, how much longer can they live with this. So her dog went through chemo, and it made him really sick, and there were a lot of side effects. And in the end, my cat passed away in the same week her dog passed away. And I know that my cat had just an absolute beautiful last few days and weeks of his life. And the other dog would have been suffering a lot and struggled. And I mean, she did the best she could at the time. And it was she had to do that. So her dog would have been fine with the decision. But I know that my cat was fine with the decision as well, by just letting him be in peace and not putting him through a lot of treatment. Yes, Amanda, they can tell you if they're ready. They can, they might be sick of it because they have so much pain. So they can just tell us, they've given up. They can tell us that they're still fighting. They can tell us that they still want to be here. So we just ask the question, how are you feeling? Are you in a lot of pain? We can even ask, do you still want to be here, or you don't want to be here anymore? And sometimes they give us information that we don't want to hear. And sometimes we need some time as well to come to terms with what they're telling us. And that is okay too. So sometimes we're not ready. Your animal might be ready to go, but you're actually not ready. So we then just have to come to terms with what's going on, and the animals, they are happy for us to take our time as well, because they know that we need that time too, because it is about us being together and our souls connecting. And a lot of people, they know that their animals, they're their soulmates, and they are their this strong connection they have with them. So it is important that our animals, they respect us as well, and they respect that we do need time. Are you talking about, is that a horse, Amanda, or what kind of animal we talk? I think it's a horse, yes. Yeah, as I said, sometimes you might be, when you know your animal too well, you might be, emotionally too attached to your animal, and it might be a bit difficult to hear them. Yeah, it is true that we need time, yeah. Yes, so, sometimes when we're too close to them, it can be hard to hear them. And especially if you haven't had a lot of experience connecting with your animals, it is maybe easier to get someone to connect with them that can do it, that has got more experience and that is not attached to your dog. When my cat disappears for a couple of days, I already see him run over on the side of the road, but really there's absolutely nothing wrong with him. But I'm just so worried about my baby that this is what I imagine what is happening. So sometimes it's good to have someone talk to them that doesn't have an emotional attachment to them. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear about your horse, Amanda. It is always so tragic when we lose our animals, because they're just our companions. Yes, yeah. Yeah, my cat had cancer as well. Yes, Anna. And it's great when we have that support, from spiritual people and people that can communicate with animals and that can, take up the connection, to just give you some support and to find out what's going on. Because as I said, we can just be too emotionally attached and connected with our own animals. Yes, so I will next week I'll talk to you guys about how we can go about in doing some readings as well, because that is definitely something that I want to do as well, to give you an insight into your animals and also how a reading works. So probably next week I'll be talking about how a reading works, and I'll do a reading on an animal that's present, and then I will also be doing readings on your animals and to give you some answers for your animals and any questions that you have, and to give you some closure, whether it's with animals that have passed away or animals that are still with you. And but in the meantime, if you have any questions, go to my website animalcommunication.com.au. You can find all the information, how a reading works, what's behind it, what do I need, what information do I need, and it just gives you a bit of an idea how to go about. And yes, I hopefully will see you again next week. Hopefully I can sort out my sound system on my computer so I can use my computer next time, but it did work quite well afterwards with the phone. So if you have any other questions, if not, I will see you next week. Oh, your horse was 33. That is a really good age, Amanda. You don't need to forgive yourself, Amanda. I'm sure you made the right decision, and yeah, it would be great to connect with your horse just to let you know that you did everything you can do for your horse. Because, you know, at 33, as I said before, unfortunately, we just can't save them. You know, they don't live as long as we do, and that's really the best thing we can do, is that when they are sick, that we need to make that decision. So yes, is there any other questions at the moment? Otherwise, I'm looking forward to catching up with you guys again next week. And if you have any questions, also give me a call, or you can send me an email, and I'm very excited to see you again next weekend. And yeah, if you send me an email with some questions, I can also answer them in the next live video next week. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Bye.